Greetings. In this video, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of Week 8's assignment. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I have done a few different things. I have created my database, my table for my blog postings and all that. That's stated right in the instructions where you create your database and entries table. There are instructions that are already located in the assignment. Plus, there's also a walkthrough video and learning resources for Week 8. So, view both of those. That's where I'm at right now. I've created my database. I have downloaded the project from resources, and I'm now at the point where I've opened that in NetBeans and are ready to start modifying files. Okay. So, if you don't have all those pieces done prior to this point, you'll want to do that, and that'll get you ready for where we're at right here. Okay, so I have a few different files that I need to either create or modify. Opening up the assignment project here, the files that you will not touch at all are anything that's in CSS or templates. We're not messing with those. We're also not messing with the login or logout scripts. There are no changes. There are 3 files in the main folder or directory that we're going to modify. That's index, delete entry, and add entry. And then we're going to create a new folder called includes, and we're going to build a file called MySQL Connect. So here is the first thing that you want to do. First thing you want to do is create a new folder called includes, and inside includes you want to create a new file called MySQL Connect. Now, MySQL Connect only does a couple things. It just connects to the database and selects the quotes table, or connects to the database server, selects the quotes database. So, I'm just going to connect and select, and all I'm going to do here is create a variable called DBC, and this is in your text. It's in the walkthroughs that I've already posted for the chapters and all that. So this should be old hat by now. DBC, MySQL Connect. You'll want to list the names of your host, which is localhost, your user, which is QuickBlog, and your password, which is password. Okay. Then you select the database, and that's MySQL select DB, and then the name of the database, which in this case it's QuickBlog. And then you also want to make sure that it's that you're connecting to this database settings here. Okay. All right. That's it. MySQL Connect is done. The next page that we want to look at is index. Okay. Most of index is already done. All we really need to do in this file is just connect it to the database. We need to select all of our blog entries from the entries table and print out each entry along with the delete link. So I have actually went in previously, and not saying you need to do this. You'll actually test this in your add entry file, but I went ahead and I added a couple of entries into the quotes database. So you'll actually see those populated the first time I run it, but if you don't have them in there, that's fine. Alright, so here's what we need to do. We need to connect and select the database. So we've already done this previously in the walkthrough videos and in your text. So I'm just going to includes MySQL connect.php. Okay, and that's it for that one. Okay, we're going to write a query that selects star from entries and sorts by date entered in a descending order. Now, page 363 has pretty much that exact query, but there are a couple of slight differences. So I'm going to write a query here that just says query equals select star from entries, so sort by date entered, and then descending. Okay, so there's my query, and I'm just going to double check this real quick with my notes just to make sure, but I'm 100%, 99% confident that is the case. All right, pull up my index file. Yep. I'm sorry, it's order by, not sort by. All right. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to run the query. So, let's see. So, run the query for each entry in the entries table. We want to print the following. And then we want to print the entry text and links to delete entry.php with whatever that entry ID is for the entry that we're getting here. Okay. So this is pretty straightforward. All right. So here we go. We're saying if R for result is MySQL query, and then the query, and we're getting it from query DBC. Okay. If that's successful, we want to run the query. Then we want to retrieve the blog entries and retrieve and print every blog entry. Okay. Well, I've went ahead and kind of helped you a little bit here by actually putting in exactly what I wanted you to print. Okay. So next thing we need to do is we need to just set up a while loop and say while my row equals my SQL fetch array, because what we're doing is we're getting all of the files out of here, all the entries. Then I'm just going to print from right here in the comments what I put up here earlier. Okay. Okay. Now, if that doesn't work, then all I'm going to do is say this. I'm just going to say that my query didn't run, and that that my class error P and I'll just say could not retrieve the data because set up a line break there. And then whatever my MySQL error was. Okay. And then whatever my query was. And I'll just say that. Okay. All right. Let's see why we have an else here. Okay, I just had a missing closing curly here after my while loop finished. So here's how this is supposed to work. If my query runs, okay, if my query runs, I'm going to do a while loop that prints out some text basically, or some code for each entry in the database. Now, if this query doesn't run, if there's something wrong, then I want to print out an error message. Okay, and then finally, what I want to do here to kind of finish this up is this text delete entry. Okay, if it doesn't run, modify this. Okay, if the user is not logged in, then all I want to do is print some introductory text. Okay, and a form for somebody to go through and create that database entry. So for their blog. So now let's go ahead and run this project. Right, I'm going to log in. And let's see what I have. All right. So if they're logged in, I'm going to print out my form. I'm going to print out my welcome message. I'm going to include my MySQL Connect. Let's go double check that and make sure that's good. Quick blog, password, quick blog, DBC. Okay. All right. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Alright, looks like I have a little bit of a problem here. This is one of the issues that happens when you are doing something live here. Alright, so I have an undefined variable row in line 40 and 41. Now, let's take a look here. I'm just kind of looking through my code. I have a typo in here that I need to fix. Let's try this again, shall we? Alright, so looks like I said a little typo here while row equals, and I had two equal signs in there. It's real easy to screw up something like that, no matter how long you've been doing this stuff. Alright, so I have another error message. This one on line 62. Yeah, that's not line 62. Okay. Of course, because I can't add an entry. Duh. Alright. So, I'll be able to test this actual entire script here in a minute when we create, when we add an entry. But what I want to do is this. I want to go into phpMyAdmin. I want to go into my QuickBlog database, into my entries table, and see if I have any entries here. And I don't. One of the things that you could do is you could click on SQL, and you could do something like this. You could say insert into entries, entry ID, bill at anytech.com, test blog, okay, something like that. Okay. Go back to my project here real quick, make sure that's correct. And then click go. Alright, I forgot to put the word values in here. Go ahead and click go, and you'll see that it inserts a record into your database. So if I go, I'm going to copy this code right here that I just created, this SQL. I click entries table, and you should see a little entry called test blog. Okay. So if I go to QuickBlog and I click on home, you should see if everything works that you have a test blog posting here. So that's something that you could do if you want to see a good example of how to add that blog entry. Page 357 all the way at the bottom where it says insert into entries. Just change that code a little bit to reflect the actual fields that are in the database, and that'll work. Okay. All right. So index is done. Let's see. The next one we want to do is add entry. All right. So in add entry, I've created most of this file, but I'd like you to do the following. I want you to build and execute a query to insert into the entries table the blog entry, the user's email address, and the date entered using the built-in function. Now, page 360 actually has a pretty good example of what that should look like, but ours is slightly different. Okay, and that's pretty much it for that file for the add entry. So let me go and pop this open real quick. Alright, so add entry, all I really need to do is build the query and execute it. Okay. Alright, so let's build the query. This is what the query looks like. It looks an awful lot like what we have here in that SQL script that I had you build. So I'm just going to paste my query here. All we're going to do is we're going to insert into entries the entry ID, the email address, the entry, and the date entered. And the values for the entry ID, it's 0 because it's automatically incrementing. For the email address, we're just getting the email address from session, okay, which is right here. And let's see exactly how they're doing in your text, because I don't want to confuse you. All right. So we're going to do our email, and then our blog entry. Okay, and then set the time to now, which is a built-in function. Okay, so we've built our query. We need to execute our query. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the index file. And no, that's not going to work because that's a query there. Okay, on page 360, you'll see on script 12.6 where it says execute the query. Basically, all we want to do is copy most of this code, okay, and paste, or just retype it basically. All right, so if we run the MySQL query, if that runs, then what we want to do is print that the blog entry has been added. Okay. Okay. It's going to take me one moment here. Why are you barking? Entry ID, email, entry, data entered, values 0, email, flag entry now. Okay. I'll go back to that red check here in a second. What I'm going to do here under MySQL query to make sure it's executing. If it executes, I am just going to, if no problem else, okay. If it executes, then a couple different things we can do here. Let me check my solutions. That'd be the best. Because I think I may have just had you guys go on to further on down the line. Because there's no sense in printing something again. Yeah, all I had you do here was execute the query and then check to make sure the blog entry was created. If it does, forward to the index file, else say there's a problem, and then yeah, it'll just send you back to the index page. All right, so we're going to execute the query, MySQL query dbc. Then that's pretty much it. Okay, if they do that, else, if that doesn't work, then we're going to say problem is true, and they'll bark. If not, we're just going to send you back to the index page. Now, let's go look at this query here and see what the deal is. Insert into entries. Entry ID, email address, or email entry, date entered. Okay. Values. 0. Email blog entry now. Okay. That'll work. That should work. I don't understand why that's not. Well, that's being a big dummy. Alright. I just had my semicolon and my double quote flipped around. Ugh, Mr. Typo today. Alright, so let's go back to QuickBlog here. I'm going to compose a new QuickBlog. I'm just going to say test 2. Okay, I'm going to click post and let's see what happens here. Alright, so I have an undefined variable DBC in line 47. Let's go take a look at that. Alright, well, I need to start the database connection. That's my main problem. Alright, let's try that again. Okay, you have an error in your SQL syntax. Check the manual that corresponds to my SQL Server version for the right syntax standards. And tech.com test 2 now. Ah, yeah. Alright, let's try that again. Good. Okay. Alright, so just to kind of recap here, what I have right here is this query. If you need to pause your screen, go ahead. But where it says insert an entry, entry ID, email entry, date entered, values, 0, email, blog entry, now. The thing that I had here was I was just missing a couple of single quotes. Doing a lot of that today. That's one of the things about doing these kind of assignments, or to kind of help walk you through this stuff and doing it live. Can be an issue sometimes. Okay. Anyways, the last thing that we have is the delete entry.php. All you have to do in this one is just build the query to delete the entry. So on line 30, build the query. You want to do this. Let's see exactly how I had you guys do it here. All you're going to do is just say delete from entries where entry ID equals whatever the ID you're getting from the get method from the home page, and then limit it by 1. So we're going to delete from entries where your entry ID equals whatever your entry ID is here, because I just set that here from my earlier in the script. You say limit 1. That's it. Now, I'm going to go back to my blog page and I'm going to delete one of my blogs, and that should work. If not, you just have a syntax error in in your delete script in your query. Alright, so let's go ahead and test this. Let's create a new blog. I'm going to call this one test 3. I'm going to hit post. That's not exactly what I wanted to do there. Okay, I need to go back and revisit that add entry real quick. Okay, so it's my add entry. I am making sure that my entry is created. Now, one of the things that I could do here is to just go ahead and once my query is set, I could say that I could set my location to index.php. Okay, and that'll work. That'll get me back. Okay, good. Alright, so I'm going to create a new file, or a new post. I'm going to call it test4, and then you'll see that it is now populated. I'm going to click delete, and it is now deleted. So again, pretty simple assignment. Shouldn't take you more than maybe an hour or two at the most. If you have any questions on anything, just let me know as soon as possible, and I'll try to help walk you through it. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck.